Alrighty, what is up? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mario Kart Central and to UML, the Underground Mario Kart League, where we've got the EU finals coming right up between Mike's Fresh Lobsters and I am Greg.mp4. It is Squidz back on the mic again, and I'm joined by Nit the Lovely Nat. What is up, bro?
What is up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having
Yeah.
a good Friday. I'm excited for this match. I'm
Yeah.
very excited. Having played both these teams in this tournament already, I'm extremely excited to see how this match pans out.
Indeed, a good match we have here. And what's interesting is that going into the final top six bracket, both of these teams were seeded as the bottom two teams at seed 5 and 6. So
Res-
seeing them here in the finals is pretty funny when you consider that.
No, absolutely, yeah. Both teams proving their worth to make it into finals. Mike's Fresh Lobsters going up against what is it? Looking just at the tables, going up against Equinoxes and myself side, which both brought very strong lineups, and Altaria going up against User X and Popoff's team as well. Once again, very threatening lineups from the opponents, but now both of them in the finals. Got lineups on the screen as well, so let's go through them as there's a lot of interesting things to talk about.
Mm-hmm. 100%. A lot of strong players here. And it gotta be said, lots of UK representation here as well. Not only do we have two British casters, but each team having three British players as well. I'm not sure if that's really important, but I thought I'd just bring it up. But yeah, so on the side of Mike's Fresh Lobsters, we've got Mike, we have Lee, we have Scar, Tomsu, Riso4, and Mudkey.
As it's a strong roster, personally. I just want to say shout out to the HD players this tournament. You'd expect them to be up there scoring very high numbers, but from what I've been noticing, whenever they play, whatever matches they do, they tend to be more support players and just allow the other players to run up as well. When it came to what was it, my team with Dugo, Genzor, and Forex. Dugo tend to be more the support player in the front as Genzor and Forex did mainly all the running. Same goes for Mike Fresh Lobsters as well. Lee, despite being very capable in the front by himself on his own, you tend to see Scar and Reese tend to do more of the running, whereas Lee tends to play support as
Mm,
their D1 prowess definitely does help with their item play and being able to acknowledge what's going on and around. So both very, a very strong asset to have in the front presence for sure
yeah.
for Mike's team.
Yeah, and Mike's team, they I want to say they might have the advantage on players alone when it comes to higher level experience as well, with only one player in their lineup in a team that's outside the top three divisions, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
For sure.
But of course, they are going to be facing up against I am Greg.mp4, which is Reese from Bree, Denox, Oni Beast, Lucas, Altaria, and Quagstar. And I also want to mention Team Greg. They too have some pretty scary runners, mainly in Reese and Denox. I know that they can hold down the fort in the front very, very well. So I'm sure Mike's Fresh Lobsters, they're going to be trying their best to try and hit them out as soon as possible. And it's also worth noting that Team Greg do have at least two Yoshi bikes. I'm not sure if they have a third. It's entirely possible, but we'll have to see. We might even see some track picks to support that, or even tracks to counter that from the opposition in Mike's Fresh Lobsters.
I will say, having experience playing against I'm Greg.mp4, it's a lot about playing your cards right whenever it comes against that team because you know that team has the strong front running prowess in the front. However, you do have the advantage of them at least running they across all their tables I've seen, they've at least ran at least two inwards every match that they've played. So
Mm,
maps like DK Mountain, maps like Mushroom Gorge that are very bad for the inwards due to either not being able to pull off the tech like the super bounces or just very like awful driving conditions for the inward players. Very, very you kind of just have to see whether your team is confident with the track picks and whether you can play your cards right. Because I've played Mike's team against DK Mountain, and a DK Mountain race is what secured them into this slot in the finals that they have. So it'll be very interesting to see whether Mike, because from what I've seen, Mike has done a lot of the ring leading. Same with Altaria when it comes to leading both the teams, when it comes to track picks and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction both of these guys go when it comes to track picks and when it comes to what happens in these crucial situations when it comes to going for shock or just maintaining front presence.
yeah. And you mentioned Mike and Altaria briefly, but both those players will be giving us their POVs from each side. So thank you very much to you two. We've still got the players filling up the room as we speak. Currently, I believe 8 or 9 in. But as we wait, now I've got to ask, if one team is going to win here, who are you backing?
Tough. It's very tough. I obviously have ties with both these teams.
Yeah.
Mike and Reese on my 200 team. Quag currently on my 150 team. I have love for both these teams, but
Okay.
I give or take, give or take. But we'll if it's me, I'm giving the edge to Mike's team. I know the track picks that they like. I know that they're very unique. They're very quirky. It's not things that you would typically expect from Mike's team. So whether it's just a case of whether Altaria's team is able to adapt and able to overcome these obstacles that Mike's team can bring. As Mike's team is very strong presence in the front, whereas Altaria, I didn't see Denox or Onibeast play against my team, so I don't know. They're gonna need to add a lot to the table for them to swing the match around. But I think Mike's team, for me personally, just edges it out barely.
I see, I see. And just adding to what you said about just like having these flex picks and all these, well, I guess quite random track picks that teams may not expect. It really, I feel like the top players and the just good players, it really like what separates them is being able to just be super quick on pretty much every single track, no matter what track gets picked. Because
Mhm.
if we do see some tracks that I'm Greg may not be expecting, we'll have to see if their best runners can still be holding that front presence, especially if they are going to be tracks that aren't suited for their combos if they do have at least two Yoshi bikes.
No, for sure. Yeah, just remembering vaguely from playing against Altaria's team. Altaria's team, of course, does capitalize off the fact that they do have the inwards. They don't necessarily go like the obvious Toad's Turnpike, but you do see a lot of the inward friendly tracks. Moo Meadows being a standout core memory for me. That hit what is it? Altaria and Reese just able to run in the front as the
Mm,
rest of the team were able to kill the rest of our mid spots. And then another one for Mike's team was Ninja Hideaway. Of course, Scar being the current 200 world record holder, pretty infamous for enjoying the track, but it's definitely worked out for them as it is a very quirky track to play. Shocks can be hard to get on that track at times. So both definitely have a quirky lineup of tracks in the back pocket, but that's what they need
yeah.
in a match like this. As much as all the players are good and know their knowledge on the tracks, it's just going to be a case of who can outsmart the other with track picks and who can be more aggressive and hold down the front spots early on. Because it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these races do go down to if someone was able to hold front presence better or if a shock was used better.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing in particular, Nat, is I'm actually kind of interesting on the topic of track picks. I'm interested to see if we play some Ninja Hideaway because I know that there are quite a few players, at least a couple, on the team Mike's Fresh Lobsters who really like that track. And again, it's a pretty uncommon track. I'm not
Hmm.
sure how good it is for Yoshi bikes for inwards, especially with that Nisk, which is so important if you're gonna front run.
Hmm.
But I'm looking forward to potentially seeing it and other tracks that we may not be used to seeing, as we now, I believe, have 12 in the room. Yes, we do indeed. All right, folks, we are about to get underway. Place your bets. Who's gonna take this one? Mike's Fresh Lobsters or I'm Greg.mp4. Let's hope to have a good match.
Indeed, indeed. Going to be interesting to see what these teams do open up with. Altaria immediately going with Moo Meadows off the gate. Um, Mike's team is still a bit indecisive on what they want to go. Surprised he hasn't just gone with his default pick of Wee Rainbow Road, as Mike is a very strong enjoyer of that track. They're going for Mushroom Gorge,
Wow.
immediately countering the inwards.
Yeah, just as you were mentioning, Mushroom Gorge is not a favorable track for those inwards for the Yoshi bikers because that gap cut at the end is not only very difficult, but it doesn't really save all too much time. And
No,
also,
for
there's
sure.
quite a few super bounces that you cannot do as well, as of course only outward drifters can utilize that. So I think this first track pick is going to be very, very important. And you know
Tokyo
what?
Blur.
We're not going to either of them. We're going to Tokyo Blur Race 1.
Both these teams very strong on Tokyo. As much as this does help the inwards a bit more inward friendly with the fact that you can take all the tight turns. It's not one for the outwards to to get shoved about on because of said inwards. They're able to draft up, take some early leads, so it's going to be exciting to see who's able to establish some presence in the front first.
Most definitely. I do believe Mike's Fresh Lobsters are going to be repping most of the red Yoshi, so that'll be pretty easy to tell who was who on the map. Quackstar taking an early lead. Mike opting to go for some coins after some unfortunate bumps. Double shrooms in 7 is nice for the cut, but may have to play around some potential green or red shells after the fact. Using both shrooms just to get ahead. Reese is already in the front. And so, yeah, if you're Mike and if you're Mike's teams, you want to try and take Reese out as soon as possible. But in fact, it's Mike who ends up getting the short end of the stick. So that may even be bottom 3. No, that's Altaria chilling back with Mike. So not quite a bottom 3 for Mike's Fresh Lobsters, but we do know it's at least a top 2 for I Am Greg right now.
Looking at Altaria's POV, Altaria is also holding the blue shell as well for Reese, meaning that they're able just to let their top spots get into a comfortable position to run. Mike trying to ghost, to try and see what Altaria has, as they could think it's anything in the pocket at this point. They could think it's a blue shell. They can think it's a shock. So
you would think one of those two, but top 2, 4. Maybe even top 2, 4, 5 for the side of I Am Greg as we go into the last closing moments of this race. It looks like Altaria is, well, I was going to say pretty much guaranteed last, but I think that was Denox. Hang on a second, is that a sudden bottom 4 I'm seeing on the side of I Am Greg? What on earth is happening? I think it's entirely possible that Mike's Fresh Lobsters are holding all of the middle spots right now.
Oh, that's 7 bottom 4.
And it is! It's 1-7 bottom 4. That is absolutely incredible. I was 100% sure that I Am Greg were in the driver's seat going into lap 3, which, to be honest, I think it's entirely possible that they were. But whatever happened, they just crumbled. And although Reese was able to hold down the fort and secure those 15 points, at what cost? Because there wasn't much else.
Mid-pack aggression on Tokyo is very, very hard to deal with, especially in lap 3. I think Mike's Fresh Lobsters just had a lot of the power items and were able to push them back up. The team just kind of acknowledged they didn't really need the first place. They just needed to make sure they got as many of Altaria's team in the bottom spots, and they've succeeded.
This track pick is going to be very, very important, and it is going to be I'm Greg who are going to get the reset track. Going to opt for Paris though. Not exactly a track you would pick for bottom 4 usually, but again, it's very inward friendly and you get quite a lot of drafts and slipstreams at the start of this track. So I think
probably just playing into Reese's strengths, as I know Reese is very fond of this track, and I know the team is also very fond of this track as well. Maybe going to try and see if they can push up early, but if Mike's team is able to kill out Reese early, then it could be curtains, depending on if shock is pulled or not.
It's not going to be easy though. Mike's going to have a go, takes out the defense from Reese. I'll tell you what, if Reese did not have that banana, that could have been pretty damn bad for them. But keeping first place for the time being, Mike opting to go for a box, and good thing he did. Red shell going to be countered by the green shell. Shroom Red in 8, taking out Denox, I believe. Yes, indeed. It's 3, 4, 5, maybe even 2. And I believe that's actually 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that is Beast in second. So it's a top 2 from I'm Greg, but 3, 4, 5, 6 from the side of Mike's Fresh Lobsters. Now, what can MF do here to try and take out that top 2? Because taking out top 2 or any top spot in a track like this is not all too easy.
We thought they were going to do it lap 1 by the fact that Mike went around to items and Tomsu had a red, potentially being able to red out the top 2, but probably not working in their favor, as Oni is able to just keep all the defense. Maybe they're just going to try and hold the mid spots, as we do see them going into lap 3. Mike just playing very aggressive. Blue shell out could potentially mess up the lead, as it looks to be 2, 3, 4 now for Mike's Fresh Lobsters.
Tell you what, there are some players pretty far back, and I think there was actually a shock as we swapped the POVs from I Am Greg, Altaria, surging up to now join their teammates in what looks to be a top 3. Double Shrooms in first as well, looking very pretty to secure those points for the team.
Brilliant dodge from Altaria, just holding on to that dodge right until when they needed it.
Mike is in 4th. Triple Shrooms fire. Bomb not quite connecting, but it is still a top 3. The fire after the cut could do some damage, but I think it might be a little bit too late. Yeah, it is a little too late. Top 3 secured from MP4. And you know what? How about some spare change? Top 3, 5, 6 from I Am Greg. Wow, what a response that was.
Yeah, not the track you would expect to get a response like that, especially after the spots that Mike's team got after race 1 with a lot of the spots behind first place. But brilliant work nonetheless. I think Quag being able to pull the shock there as he stayed in last.
Yeah.
Really, really clutch for them as we do. I'm excited for the track picks now because Paris tends to be what a lot of people establish as like a very inward-friendly track. So it's interesting to see the fact that they're going Moonview Highway with a lot of the top spots that they have as Mike's team counters with Mushroom Gorge once again.
I'm Greg pulling shock when they had a comfortable top 2 as well. It's got to sting a little bit if you are Mike's Fresh Lobsters. But of course, only 2 races down and 2 pretty big races, but for both sides. Meaning it is still relatively level, only 4 points in the favor of I Am Greg, with a good 10 to go. Movie Highway is going to be the track for race number 3.
Be interesting to see. The Review Highway is genuinely decided by who's able to hold the top spots early and who's able to keep first after the boost panel section, as this track does definitely reward a lot of the front presence running. However, mid-pack can be kind of crazy with all the item spam at the start.
Yeah, Mike having to watch out for that green trail. It looks like he has done so just fine. Lee is up in first place right now. I think fighting with what looks to be Reese. Or maybe even Altaria. Reese is definitely up there. I do believe Lee actually did just get taken out, however.
Yeah, that looks to be now Altaria's team in the driver's seat. They look to be top 3, top 4 at the moment as Mike does get fired out.
I'll tell you what, I actually may have been wrong. Lee may have actually been in first and just been taken out now. I think Reese has just taken the front of the pack. Bomb back from Altaria and a slow horn. But we've got to watch out from the bomb car. Oh no, focus a bit too much on that rear view mirror. And so is now going to opt to go for Shock instead. And Shock isn't all too powerful on a track like this when there's so many boost panels and pretty much little to no shortcuts as well. Blue does come out for Reese. So we'll hold down the front.
Pack seems too tight for Shock at this rate. Mike pulling incredible items of triple reds. He's just opting to back them, although it's seeing that Reese is ahead of him. Interesting play. Maybe Reese might just have the speed items in and the power items to catch up.
Look at this map. All of Greg are in the back, and once again, a shock comes through from I'm Greg.mp4, and they're going to be surging forward. Altaria is going to get redded, which is going to slow down Altaria quite a lot, and a red for Reese as well. Protected by the horn, Lee gets taken out. Denox and Reese currently holding down the top 2 positions, but Mike is coming through with the Shroom and is going to try his hardest. Spamming the red is going to sneak by Denox and secure that second place, but what else for the team? It's 1-3. It's almost a bottom 4 though for I'm Greg, despite the shock. And just as I was saying earlier in the race, shocks are not all that powerful on a track like Moonview Highway. It appears that is evidence, Nat.
No, absolutely, you are right. Altaria being able to dodge, however, not able to deal with the mid-pack presence. Altaria could have easily gotten a top 6 spot if they had played their cards a bit better and items went in their favor. However, just not the case. Absolutely not the case. Couldn't deal with the mid-pack aggression, couldn't push up with Reese and Denox in the top spots. Fortunate that they were able to keep top 3. However, the bottom 3 does tell a lot and does swing this back into Mike Fresh Lobster's lead. Only by 6, though. This match has been incredibly tight so far.
It has. As indeed, this track pick It's gonna go to the side of I am Greg. Why would no, it's not actually. Excuse me. It's gonna go to Mike's Fresh Lobsters. I do believe that may have been Mudkey's pick there. This is a track. It's a very good runner after the start because again, I wouldn't be surprised to see some players get bumped off within the first 10 seconds, and lots of drafts are going to be occurring very, very quickly as well.
For sure. I don't know. It's definitely going to be a case for,
Oh.
like, as we do see the green immediately, Reese has been the standout player this war so far, just securing a lot of the top spots, being that just annoying little pest for Mike's Fresh Lobsters as they do try to secure the top spots. Reese is just always there and always causing a problem for them.
Truly so. And if you are Mike's Fresh Lobsters, you're going to want to try and hit Reese out as soon as possible. That Peachat just constantly holding down the front as maybe want to switch POVs because that's not a very good, not a very good show from Mike right there. But
Potential
red,
lagging POV, but
yeah, red in 10th for Altaria. I do believe Pigeon is Lucas on the side of I'm Greg.mp4. There is
you
a
are
member of
correct.
MF in second. I think that may be Scar. Bomb going off. So it's going to be Scar versus Reese in the front. No shock in play just yet by the looks of it. Altaria is holding a ghost in 9 though. The ghost does get used.
Still the
That
potential to pull though. However, there is a bill being used in the back. Shock is ripped immediately though.
The shock is used. Altaria is dodging up once more. And a green may have Scar's name on it. Up it goes, and indeed it does make contact. That's now going to be a top 2 for I am Greg.mp4. There is another Red Yoshi attempting to break this top 2, though. The fire does connect, but the Shroom's there to recover from Altaria. The Shroom is gone. No defense now in first, but that is actually Beast, Altaria's teammate, in second. So that's at least a top 2. A bomb going off, I think, right before the cut, taking out a few. I know Reese is definitely dead. Lots of Red Yoshis in the mid pack. It looks like it's a top 2, maybe a top 3 for I'm Greg, but what else? Top 2, 4, 5, 8, 12. So definitely a winning race for I'm Greg. Again, that shock doing wonders. I say again, it didn't do wonders last time, but this time, quite the opposite.
Altaria just always seems to be in the position to pull the correct items, to dodge the shock, and just pull themselves back up into the top spots. The Shrooms being very vital in case of a blue, but not mattering in the end, just because of how much of a break they had. Top 2, 4, 5. This war is just getting swung about. It's going to one team, then immediately to the other. It's brilliant. Speaking of what we were on about Ninja Hideaway, though, they're done with the inward counter picking. They're just going for their tracks now and knowing what they know how to play from Mike's Fresh Lobsters.
We'll have to see which track it does swing towards. It's looking like Ninja Hideaway, and indeed it is. Wow. This is going to be a very, very interesting race to watch. I know this is one of Scar's favorite tracks. So Scar is going to be looking to get to the front and just hopefully run away. This is such a weird track as well because it's a very, very strong runner. There's hardly any shortcuts, but from what I do know, I mean, there has been a shock on, correct me if I'm wrong, I think every single race, the smart steering coming in clutch from Altaria there. Amazing reactions. Did lose a little bit of time, but would have lost a lot more if they actually fell off. And what I was saying was, shock can be very powerful on this track.
No, for sure. With how spread out the item sets are, with the amount of bullet bill extensions as well on this track, just allowing your bullet bill to last for longer, meaning you can get some more effective use out of it. Definitely could work in the favor. Scar is in first right now. However, we do see a lot of Altaria's team behind in at least 2-3, struggling to figure out who that is in fourth.
This bomb could potentially do some damage, but it's not worth risking. But the bomb from downtown, I've no idea who that came from.
We can only assume Scar. We can only assume Scar.
It did take out at least Altaria. I'm not sure if it took out anyone else, but Scar is still holding down first. I think Altaria is on potential shock watch right now. Reading Mike right before the glider.
Making him burn the bill, very, very good, as I think the bill extension comes right around here if you
Oh,
actually want to use it. Unfortunately, getting dropped off into the greens, but
I'll tell you what, I was wondering what last place may have been holding, because they were holding that item for a long time. It did end up just being a bill from Denox. Now a bill of Mike's own. As we go into lap 3, it is still Scar in first, but Reese is hot on his tail.
let's say we can assume the orange Yoshis are all Altaria's players, so
2, 3,
looking to
4,
be 2, 3,
5?
4.
It's not looking all too good from Mike's Fresh Lobsters, especially if Scar does get taken out, which I believe he does, but a blue to retaliate. Oh, but a shock from Altaria. I wasn't even paying attention to that. The shock is going to be held for the time being. It looks like too many of Mike's Fresh Lobsters are in dodges, so they cannot make good use of this shock. It was pulled too little too late. As the results come through, it is going to be 1, 4, 5, 6, 7 from Mike's Fresh Lobsters.
Yeah, unfortunate for Altaria pulling the shock during the glider set. Would have hopefully had wanted their back spots to get more dodges to pull up in the end, but ended up having to hold as it was just Mike's Fresh Lobsters who did have all the dodges during the time period. And Ninja Hideaway working miraculously for them, only now 2 behind going into this next race.
That blue was so clutch as well, because
Absolutely.
it looked like halfway through lap 3, Mike's Fresh Lobsters were holding down first, courtesy of Scar, but I'm Greg were like 2, 3, 4, 5. And so once Scar did inevitably get taken out, the blue shell was there for backup. And it looks like there was a lot more damage done as well for Mike's Fresh Lobsters to get such a huge race as they did. It wasn't just first, it was a bunch of supporting spots right behind. So good job to them. And as you said, it is right down to the wire. Only 2 points in it after race 5. This has been such a close war, Nat.
Yeah, absolutely. You wonder if this war is just going to be swinging back and forth between each team as we do go to DKJ. Something that does favor the outwards a little bit more, not too heavily though, because of this one super bounce coming out that the Yoshi bikers aren't able to perform. However, you've got to wonder whether a team is just able to get some momentum and drive away with it, or whether it's just going to be back and forth between the two sides for the entire war.
Which team are going to be the ones to break this war wide open? Denox is, I believe, being taken out as we see lots of red Yoshis holding down the front right now. Reese is currently in 3rd or 4th, but I don't think it's much else. And you know what? Reese is out of there. I think that's a top 4.
It is a top 4 for Mike's Fresh Lobsters. We see Tomsu in first,
Yes.
Mike in second, Scar, recent Scar following immediately after. Altaria just trying to be as aggressive as possible to take out the spots, but this is looking to be like they do need the shock, otherwise they will just hold this top 4 and run away with it.
Yeah, looking at the map, you can see that they are trying their damnedest. There is a red Yoshi in the back just to make sure I am Greg. Do not get up to any funny business back there. The blue shell does come out for Tomsu, but considering that Tomsu has all of his team behind him, I'm sure that won't do too much. In fact, I'm pretty sure Tomsu actually had a horn. And the shock does come through, I think, from Mike Fresh Lobsters. Absolutely no one dodges. Completely neutral shock. Which, if you're Mike's Fresh Lobsters, that is going to be perfect. Sure, I am Greg are going to be able to surge up a little bit because they're going to grow up sooner before Mike's Fresh Lobsters, but a shock is not going to be in play now for the rest of the race unless it gets pulled at the last set. So Mike's Fresh Lobsters, all of this front presence they've still got, they're going to hold it. And a ghost in 5th right now from Altaria, that's a very, very good pull. But to be honest, what is it going to do? Triple Shrooms is fine, but Mike's Fresh Lobsters are currently top 4, 6.
Altaria is kind of just making a desperation play at this point, trying to push up, hopefully not trying to get killed. Mike's Fresh Lobsters not being able to do anything as they hold top 2. However, it's top 2, 4, 5 for them. A huge race for Mike's Fresh Lobsters.
You know what? Make that a top 2, 4, 5, 6 from the Lobsters, and Mudkey holding down 11th. And I believe Mudkey was the culprit of that shock. Such an important shock there. Because if I'm Greg used a shock, that in fact, I mean, for all we know, that could have been a top 2, 4, 5, 6 for the opposing team.
Exactly.
So it's That is absolutely huge. And we were just talking about as well at the start of this race, which team is going to be the team to blow this war wide open. And I think we might have our answer now. Plus 22.
It's going to be a case of whether or not they can keep said momentum going. Of course, DKJ being Mike Fresh Lobster's track pick, as we did see a lot of Altaria's team getting the track picks at the start, and now swinging over to Mike's team, getting all the track picks, where we have two very different tracks on the board. SNES Rainbow Road, a classic tried to runner, compared to Daisy Circuit, definitely more beneficial for the mid spots, and the Shrooms, also a difficult one to pull shock on. So in before it's not any of these, and it just lands on GBA Mario Circuit and invalidates everything.
Well, lucky for you, it's going to pick Lee again. SNES Rainbow Road. It's going to be a track where the front spots, they're going to very likely keep them as long as there isn't too much chaos with triple greens or triple bananas at the start of this race. And there's going to be a lot of drafts as well. So keep a lookout on the map to see if anyone gets bumped off. Kind of similar to Wild Woods.
I think a lot of this race is probably going to get dictated by if Altaria gets taken out early and if Altaria pulls the right items to either push themselves into the top spots or take out more of Mike's Fresh Lobsters.
Yeah, Altaria double reds is a good pull if it is all of Mike's Fresh Lobsters around, but Altaria is just being swamped right now with these drafts. Beast is up here for support now. 2-4 from the side of I Am Greg. Make that 2-3. Checking up 2-4 actually.
The double reds from Altaria, it's a shame that they're not able to get them out. Reese is now going to have to do the work to put Tomsu out of first place. Altaria's adaptive driving proving very well. I've not fallen off the track yet. Fall off dodge.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. That is huge. I couldn't see exactly how many of I'm Greg dodged that shock by doing that, but it was at least 3 of them. And Tomsu, I'm pretty sure, is not actually I'm pretty sure Tomsu has been shocked. What it may look like. The Tomsu is going to fall. I'm not sure what they just got hit by, but it is still a top 2, a top 3 for I'm Greg at least. But now look at this minimap. Look at the red Yoshis in the back, and look at the swamp of orange Yoshis, all commanding the front. With Reese has gone in first as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be shock is like very, very uncommon now, just due to how early it was used.
If it does. And it doesn't look like it is on the horizon unless it gets pulled right at this last second and gets spammed. But that is at least a top 2 from the side of I'm Greg. You know what? I think that's a top 3.
Yeah, Mike, unfortunately, only being able to pull star and a blooper at the end, able to take out at least one of the players, but not being able to do too much after that.
Wow. Top 3, 9, bottom 2. Almost a lobster sandwich right there. But
don't see that at your local Tesco. Fair play.
Yeah, you gotta commend actually Mike's Fresh Lobsters for getting all of those mid spots. That was looking catastrophic for them, considering that I'm Greg used that shark and everyone who dodged were I'm Greg falling off the track. So
beautifully coordinated shock for sure.
I don't know what happened. I do wonder what happened, because after the shock, they were at least top 3, maybe even a top 4. And they only finished with, what was it? Top 3 and then nothing. Like nothing at all. Top 3, 9, bottom 2. Which,
maybe Mike's Fresh Lobsters just had the power items, as we did see Mike constantly rolling stars in 6th place just due to the lead that Reese had. So
yeah, what could have been a lot more ended up only being a +6 for I Am Greg. But hey, that is shortening that lead just a little bit. There's now 16 points rather than 22 points as Trainbow now from Tomsu.
Interesting pick. I know this is usually used for the drafters and the reset spots. However, this is still good in a sense for I'm Greg, only because the bottom spots do have a huge benefit with the coin advantage on this track. So it's going to be a case of, once again, just the aggression items. Does anyone get bumped off? Are people able to break into those top spots early? What goes down within the mid pack?
As everyone does the SMT glider strat, I think Mike actually only got an MT, so Mike is going to be falling just a little bit. Altaria does get taken out very early, so is going to be playing this race from the back. I'll tell you what, Nat, this race on the back feels absolutely horrendous. There's barely any coins. There's literally no shortcuts. And because the track is so short, this horn, what a horn from Mike. I believe that took out 2 members from I'm Greg, one of them armed with triple greens. And that's now a safe top 2. Make that a top 3 for Fresh Lobsters. And what I was about to say was a shock on this track is not very common at all, just because of how short the track is. It can only be pulled at the second half of the race.
You need someone to be religiously going back, just sacrificing their race for a shock, which isn't usually a strategy that tends to work out in the long run. So Mike being able to use his horn and get rid of the top spots early, very, very strong for Mike's Fresh Lobsters.
I believe Altaria isn't a star right now, which would suggest that there is no shock being pulled. Altaria does have another star and is chaining it again in 8th, but still no shock to be found. Is this a top 6, Nat, currently from Mike's Fresh Lobsters? I'm not sure if it's going to be held, as Altaria is boosting up into 6th, but I think that's a top 5-7. It is indeed from Mike's Fresh Lobsters. That is absolutely horrible if you are a Team Greg fan. Wow, that lead has just skyrocketed, probably to around 60 points now.
The floodgates are now wide open as this match is now in Mike's hand. They could go just play runners that they are comfortable with, or alternatively, they could just go around and screw with the Yoshi Bike players to try and see whether they can ensure them out of the top spots. The strategy, whilst the floodgates have been opened, the strategy is still there as to which team is going to be picking what track.
It's actually quite funny as well when you consider that Tomsu was the only one picking N64 Rainbow Road on the side of Mike's Fresh Lobsters. The rest of the team wanted to opt for Mushroom Gorge.
I would imagine Mike wanted words, but after seeing that top 5-7 is keeping his mouth completely shut. He doesn't want to mess with the Arcadia boy. I wouldn't want to mess with him either. As we go into LA Lax, quite an interesting reset track. Not one I'm personally particularly fond of, however, can work in your favor if you know what you're doing. Rooming up is very, very important on this track to try and establish an early lead.
Truly. Pulling a shroom and winning the game is how this track rolls. Pull a shroom at this first set, take the cut, and then just run away. No shortcuts for the rest of the race. Altaria, not quite so lucky, pulling a red. And although it is still MF in top 4, tell you what, that was a very good red from Altaria. I do believe it actually hit Tomsu from the back. That banana was very, very close.
Imagine if that hit.
Yeah. Altaria opting to get some money right now. Reese is currently holding down first. I think, scratch that. I do believe Mike may have just drafted up into the 15 points paying position, and with a bomb, no less, trying to scare Reese off.
It is just all of MP4 behind.
Oh, no!
That trail is catastrophic. Mike now just trailing a bomb in a position where there's a lot of the enemy team behind him. Now just his own teammates. He has to play preservative and go wide to ensure that he doesn't cause any more damage.
Well, sent from first to the back to go for shock because, I mean, it seems to be no secret right now, Nat. That's a lot of Mike's Fresh Lobsters in the back. Altaria is holding a ghost in 5th as well. That may have been an unfortunate team kill, but no, not too much harm done for I'm Greg. Tomsu is up here trying their best to hold on to 3rd, but even Tomsu can't do that. That is now a top 3-5. From Team I'm Greg, Altaria forced into a ghost. So if a shot comes, I think it's going to be coming now.
I was going to say, forcing into the ghost, potentially they're just waiting for Altaria to get out of the ghost if Mike's Fresh Lobsters, for whatever reason, has the shock. Breaking into top 3 now.
Someone's in a bill. That's Lee. I'm pretty sure Mike's Fresh Lobsters do not have a shot because Lee is now out of the bill. Nice fire onto Quackstar from Lee. Going to take Lee out, and Altaria is just going to straight line and just pray. And you know what? That skinny hitbox from the Yoshi Bike paying dividends right there. That is such a huge response from I'm Greg. Top 3, 5, 6, 8, bottom 4 for the Lobsters. We got a close game again. I think maybe not quite, but
no, it's
close.
Not close, but. The second you see the top 5-7, you think Mike's team has it. It has just beginning to run away with a lead. However, MP4 saying, no, 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 no. We still have control of this match as well, and just shutting that down completely. Whilst Mike's Fresh Lobsters are still in the lead, .mp4 not giving up a fight right now, as this final GP is going to be, it's going to mean a lot, especially these final few races and these final few track picks, as we do see RWS, Warrior Stadium, one of the strongest runners in the game, alongside just Mushroom Gorge, what Mike's team has been prolifically picking just to ensure that they're able to silence the likes of Reese and Altaria, who have been scoring dominantly for them, as they're both currently room MVP.
Yes, and 22 points is now the deficit for I'm Greg to claw back, but this track pick is going to be so damn important, and it is going to go to the side of Mike's Fresh Lobsters, which is not good news if you're I'm Greg, especially if Mike's Fresh Lobsters can get a huge race here, which, if we know anything about this track and the nature of it and how horrible it is to play on Yoshi Bike, it is favored to be a good race for them.
You think you'd be favored, however, you do have to remember that .mp4 has just been winning the shot game. Therefore, more shots being more beneficial for them. So this could be a hidden remedy that Mike is trying to conjure up. However, it could backfire completely just for the fact that .mp4 has been winning the shot game throughout this entire war and proving the shots to be more beneficial in their favor rather than Mike's.
We've been seeing a lot of shocks this war, and I think we can expect for that trend to continue on a track like this. It is currently at least a top 2 from Mike's Fresh Lobsters as it stands. Bottom 2 for I'm Greg. Actually, I think that's an 8-9 bottom 2. A Scar does now fall back. So if a shock is going to be pulled, you can expect it to be from I'm Greg, but at the same time, we all know this item set that MicheL has just pulled is pretty broken, so you can pull shocks as far up as 9th place. Lots of dodges right now. Not quite seeing a shock, but we've got to wonder, what is that pink Yoshi holding in last? Tomsu is in first. We do see a Peachette from I'm Greg taking the gap cut and pushing up into first now. Mike holding a star in 5th.
Such a powerful play. Such a powerful thing to do. Huge. The Peach all the way in the back, just sacrificing the race for the shock.
I believe that's actually Altaria. They're just falling off over and over, trying to reset their items, and it doesn't look like they're pulling it. They're trying their hardest, but it's just not coming. The blue shell is not even going to do anything for Mike's Fresh Lobsters because they have a shroom, and Mike is going to get fired out and starred. So Mike is in the absolute mud, but it does look like there's still a very strong race on Mike's Fresh Lobsters. All right, Mike, that's kind of disrespectful.
I was going to say, come on, man. You made him just play Mushroom Gorge. You can't be doing that to him, man. He has a wife and kids.
Man.
Lordy Lord.
You know what? I'm going to say it. This track sucks. No. Both the Yoshi bikes finish in bottom 2.
Expected. Expected.
Where's the balance? Go on, Nintendo. Make it a new patch so Yoshi bikes can do super bounce. At least give them that. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm saying that, I'm looking at who has the crown right now, which is Reese. From the side of I'm Greg, it's got to be said, Reese is doing such a phenomenal job for the team, holding down the front presence pretty much every single race. And so if we gave Reese even more power, I don't even know. I don't even want to think what that'd be like.
I can't imagine it either, but it can only be disgusting. Can only be, as we do see Music Park, another track that is pretty anti-inward, mainly just because of the xylophone section towards the back end of the race, causing a lot of brake drifting. However, Moo Moo Meadows, very friendly for the inwards, very good for drafting up. .mp4, despite not having the best race on Mushroom Gorge, was able to at least keep some of their mid spots intact.
Lucas actually suffering from an unfortunate DC.
Oh.
So that race was, at least by the looks of it, some of it was played 5v6, which is not what you want if you're I'm Greg, because you've got to make this comeback now. There's only 3 races, maybe actually even 2 races to go. But this track, them getting this track pick is very, very huge indeed, because if they can start making a comeback now, then this war is still winnable. Mike taking out Quagstar, sending him right to the back. Mike got to throw those bananas away though. Lots of mid spots being held by MF right now. 3, 4, 5, 6 at least from the Red Yoshis, and there's a lot of I'm Greg in the back, so makes you wonder if I'm Greg are going to opt for a shock again. Altaria is still holding down first, which is very important, and there might even be Reese in second as well. So if that is the case,
all the blue coming out, but not meaning anything as Altaria barely pulls a horn.
Wow, that's so important. Reese is going to get taken out from by Denox. Altaria is still holding down first. Mike with these greens looking to do as much damage as possible. There goes one. The green goes up trying to make contact with Reese. It's bouncing. And I don't think it... No, it did not make contact. It is still top 2. Wow, what a back from Reese. That was an amazing back. And I do believe Altaria is holding a bomb in first. The bomb is now gone. Mike is in the mud. Crag is also going down with him. Who is that in last? I'm not sure if that's another DC, if that's Lucas again. In fact, it actually might be, or if they were going for shock. But Altaria and Reese are going to hold down the top 2, unless Tomsu may have actually took cut and taken second right at the brink. And I believe he did indeed. It's going to be a 1-3 from I'm Greg. 1-3, 6, 7, 8, 12. I think that's a pretty neutral race, maybe winning by a little bit. But if you're I'm Greg, is that really what you want? When you're down by, 36 points going into this race, I think maybe they were hoping for a little bit more, especially with their track pick.
It's a true neutral. They're still able to hold the lead by 36 after this. .mp4 just needing to clutch out what happened on Trainbow, but to them now either a top 5, 8 to top 5, 7 to try and win this war. All Mike's Fresh Lobsters need to do is just secure one of them, get top 6, and the EU UML Championship is theirs for the taking.
Yeah, top 6 or a top 5, 7 is needed to win. For I'm Greg to win, of course. Top 5, 8 would bring us to an extra 4 races, an extra GP, as it would be 492 apiece. But that is a very, very tall ask. It was indeed Lucas DCing again, which is very unfortunate for I'm Greg being a player down in these races when it matters the most.
Yeah, coming down to the wire, the most crucial races of the war as well. It's very unfortunate, but Altaria's team just being able to make do. Getting bumped off the Nisk there is early is huge. That could be a decider as Mike's team does look on the mini-map to be holding down a good few of the top spots.
Bottom 4 right now from I'm Greg. When, of course, I'm Greg do need at least a top 5 and then some to win this. So it's looking like shock is needed once again, but I'm Greg has pulled many shocks already this war. And they've proven that they can get huge races off of them, especially if the track supports it as well. Nice back from Mike on the Nisk. So it's going to be a top 4. Oh, Mike getting a little bit greedy, but you know what? I do still think that's the right play because remember, I'm Greg. They need such a huge race.
Yeah, exactly. All Mike's team needs is to at least hold down one of those top spots. And they do secure it. So Mike is just trying to be as greedy as possible, just kill out everyone as quick as possible. That's huge.
That is huge. And you know what I'm wondering? Is that Denox with a shock of their own in front? It's entirely possible. In fact, I think it was a golden. So I think we might be okay on that front. But Mike is going to try and use this as neutral as possible, I think. And there it is. Not many dodging. I think, in fact, one of Mike's Fresh Lobsters may have actually even dodged. So Mike pulling a clutch shock for his team. The captain is putting in work. Altaria is in the mid pack, but not really too much to their name right now. It's still all of Mike's Fresh Lobsters in the front. And I'll tell you what now, I think this is curtains.
I was going to say, I think that shock has absolutely done it for Mike Fresh Lobsters to win. Whoever that is in first for them just has an astronomical lead as they do pass the line. It's game, set, and match. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike's Fresh Lobsters are your European Underground Mario Kart League champions for this edition. Insane work from both sides, both giving it their all. Top 2 for Mike's Fresh Lobsters. to finish it out. Very, very strong performance from both teams. This finals went all the way down to the wire. Shocks being such a crucial play to keep Altaria's team in it, to make Mike's team pull away. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. That's nothing more I can say. I'm a bit speechless after watching all that.
Gotta be said. Huge shout out to both Altaria and Reese, actually holding down top 2 in the standings. 108 for Altaria and 100 for Reese. Double 100s, but unfortunately, just I don't know. They had the running power, but maybe just not enough of it. And the Shocks, some of them were good, but some of them just did not do nearly enough damage. It's just it's a strange one. I don't know.
No, for sure.
Mike's Fresh Lobsters definitely had the better pack play. That is no question.
Yeah, and when it came to Shocks as well for Mike's Fresh Lobsters, they weren't trying to be fancy with it, trying to get as many dodges as possible. They knew they just needed to neutral it to ensure that I'm Greg.mp4 weren't making any astronomical catch-ups. So, yeah, just a lot of brilliant item play from Mike's Fresh Lobsters to seal them out the win. 38-point differential in the end. So, massive congratulations to both teams. Commiserations.
Yeah, both teams,
yeah, commiserations, of course, to .mp4. However, silver banner at the end of the day on MKC isn't a bad thing, as this UML has probably been some of the closest matches that I've seen just from watching highlights from VODs and seeing tables as well. This has been very close from all teams, so massive congratulations to everyone who took part.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And with that, that is gonna wrap up this edition of the European Underground Mario Kart League. I do believe we may have the American UML taking place later tonight. I don't think that's set. I don't think it's set in stone. I fumble over my words. I don't think it's set in stone just yet, but be on the lookout because it may be coming sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's it for us, Nat. Been a pleasure casting with you as per usual.
Yeah, bit of pleasure casting with you as well, Squidz. Thanks everybody for watching as well and taking time out of their day to come and watch an exciting match to determine the winner of UML European Edition.
Yes, 100%.